Hey everyone, it's Alex here, and on today's episode of the YaBonks Show, I have a very cool episode and an awesome guest here. I have Matt from Little Orbit, which is a game studio that makes AAA games, and they have an awesome game that they are going to launch very soon called STFU, and that doesn't mean shut the F up. It stands for Ships That Fight Underground. Matt, do you want to tell the audience a little? Do you want to introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about you?
Sure thing. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I am the CEO of Little Orbit. We've been around, Little Orbit's been around for about 12 years now. We started in 2010. I'm an engineer by trade, so I've spent my entire career, little under 20 years making games. I ran a full development studio where we worked with Bandai and Warner Brothers and EA, and then became a publisher, like I said, in 2010. The Little Orbit's done 22 games so far, where we've shipped and launched 22 games. We got our start in licensed games, so you may have seen some of those, ranging from Adventure Time to one of my first pitches, which is it was a brawler, kind of Smash Brothers style brawler with Kung Fu Panda, with full online multiplayer console PC. And then more recently, 2018, we ended up pivoting into online games. So online PvP shooters specifically. So we currently operate two shooters on our platform, gamersfirst.com, which has a couple million registered players in it. And then STFU is the next game. So it's another shooter. We're not straying too far from our wheelhouse there, but it has some pretty cool innovative mechanics in it.
Very cool. So, for those watching, you've probably heard of some of those games. So you have been working in the industry on a lot of very popular big name titles for a long time. And I am also a fellow engineer, and we've had some awesome discussions leading up to this AMA. So with that being said, do you want to give me a quick elevator pitch on ships that fly underground, and just give just a quick overview in a just a quick summary of what the game is?
Sure. So there's an old school genre called Six Degrees of Freedom. It's a type of shooter, and the elevator pitch of STFU was to reimagine that genre, but with all of the modern day progression techniques, things like being able to level up and gain experience, or modify a little bit of user generated content with a full meta game behind it.
Awesome. And I will show the trailer here for STFU in a minute or two. It is insane. Like, this is not the typical DeFi degen, like, basic web apps that look like they're from the 90s that I'm used to covering on my channel for people who love DeFi stuff and gamble and make all sorts of money doing some crazy stuff. This is next level, like a AAA game. So before I show that though, I just want to kind of like ask a little bit more about your game studio, Little Orbit, and I will actually pull up the screen here. So this is the STFU website itself, but before we get to that, this is Little Orbit. So this is your game company, and
Yep.
you're the CEO here. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Cool. And how long has Little Orbit been around?
About
And
12 years. Yeah, we're based in Southern California. We also have two subsidiary companies over in the UK. But we started in January 2010, and we've, like I said, we've published a little over 22 full titles.
and which title do you think is your most popular so far?
I want to say APB Reloaded. APB Reloaded was built around the same time as Little Orbit got started. We did not create it; we acquired it just because I love this game. It was created by Dave Jones, the same creator as Crackdown and GTA. This was his third title, and he also was based out in the UK. But the customization engine behind that game is bonkers. It is. I'm not exaggerating. Like, it is probably still one of the best character and clothing and car customization engines in the world. They spent $100 million making the game. It's just phenomenal. And there's a magic in this game that still has not been recreate it anywhere else. It is an OG PvP district game. So that original 100-man, people getting to the 100-man district and fighting. You've seen the iterations of that, like King of the Kill from H1Z1 and Fortnite, but they did it first, and so it's super fun. Definitely one of our more popular games.
This game, you guys gotta check it out. It's AAA quality. It's like GTA, but like with, like he said, so much customization. The style is great. Yeah, it's very very popular game. So Little Orbit is no joke. This is a serious game company that's been around for a long time doing some big stuff.
One of the things that backs APB and Fallen Earth is our platform. So we have gamersfirst.com. I mentioned that that supports all of our authentication, our paywall, friends, achievements, that sort of thing. You can think of it as kind of a mini Steam. We do our own launcher patcher. I think that there are companies today in blockchain who really think of all of the development, right? They're going to develop a game, put it up on blockchain, and make a Web3 game. But it goes so much further than that. Like, you need to be able to have, QA and customer support and forums, discords, and moderation. And so that's where Gamers First helps us do that. That's where we launch our titles. And STFU is no exception. So we're going to be using all of that backend support for STFU. The big change is we're adding blockchain.
Very cool. So STFU will be launching on Gamers First then?
Correct.
Awesome. Now, just for my audience who is probably more familiar with the DeFi side of things, is it true that you guys have partnered with 100 Days Ventures?
That is correct. I think, being a traditional publisher coming from that space, it's important to know what we know and know what we don't know. And I'm actually good long-term friends with one of the founders of 100 Days. And as we kind of started on our blockchain journey and looking at the pieces here, namely marketing in blockchain, is just very different than marketing in a traditional sense. It made total sense to me to partner with them and let them give us a helping hand as we get educated on the space and learn about the various blockchain communities.
Awesome. And I've talked with Arsh, who leads 100 Days. I've talked with him a bunch in the past with DeFi stuff, and they're a very smart team, very smart group of people over there. So that's very cool that you're partnering with them, and we can get into that partnership later and talk a little bit about how the partnership's going to benefit the holders of the Astro token, as well as the participants and the players of STFU. Now, I wanna show. I want to just cover something here. So when I was a kid, I played a game very similar to STFU in 1995. A game called Descent was launched, and I had it on CD, and I played it on Windows 95. With my older brother and my dad, and I was a young kid, and Descent was one of my favorite games. I was playing that with alongside
one of mine as well. They were truly innovative. Good guys.
I love this game. I played it it was like Doom and Duke Nukem era and Descent. Yep. Those are like some of my big three when I was a kid. And for those who don't know, this was like the first space fighting, flying 6 degrees of freedom game I think ever made, and it was just mind-blowing. And did I get that right, that this was the first 6 degree of freedom?
You're totally
game?
correct. This is the granddaddy. They created the genre. Mike and Matt, Parallax Studio was the developers, and they created the entire genre. There are a lot of games that have followed after this, but effectively 6 degrees of freedom just means, for those not familiar with the term, it means that they have drone-like controls. So way back in the mid-90s, before drones were even a thing, you can basically move up and down, side to side, without pivoting the ship. So you have you got your thrustmaster. That's exactly it.
I busted this out for this interview because I love these kind of games.
Yeah, full movement. And so it allows you to do things in, 0G gravity, right? When you're in like space context, right? You can do those kind of maneuvers, but it literally means you can flip the whole thing upside down, go through the whole level upside down, and fire things above you. And it offers a whole new dimension of movement in a game like a shooter.
It is if you've never played a 6 degree of freedom game, it is disorienting at first. But it is just mind-blowing. And I want to show STFU after I show Descent. So back when I was a kid, this is what I was playing.
Yep.
I'm going to show just a minute of this or so.
Yeah, well, let's play. I mean, the great thing about 6 degrees of freedom is you also get a lot of freedom in your level design. These levels you're visiting, effectively three-dimensional levels, up, down, sideways. They're designed sort of, facilities, mining facilities, bases, or caverns. And you're obviously fighting enemies. You're collecting power-ups. It's a lot of fun. But typically, in a shooter, your levels are very linear. They've got to be kind of on one plane because you can't move in those dimensions.
Right. And I mean, this kind of thing is just, I mean, when this came out in 1995, I lost my mind. My little childhood brain, what I understood video games were, like, it could not, like, handle this. I put hundreds, I mean, I'm telling you, hundreds of hours onto that little Descent CD, like, so it is.
For its time, I mean, we're talking full 3D. Like, Matt and Mike I think, in my opinion, don't get enough credit. You had other folks out there like Carmack and like you mentioned, Descent, Quake, and it's in the same generation. Like they wrote their own software renderer. This was groundbreaking.
Yeah, and so Carmack, so the two Johns get so much of the credit back in those days as being like legend stuff, but there was so much other cool stuff going on that was just like groundbreaking, and Descent was one of those. And I want to show you where we are 20 years, almost, what is that, like 25?
Almost 30. Oh, yeah, almost 30. 3 years away, 27 years, yeah.
Where is my life gone? All right, so here is where we are now. So Descent was the first one that I played, the first kind of 6 degree of freedom game. Since then, I have been a fan with like Microsoft Flight Simulator, Elite Dangerous, like, and that's why I got this thrustmaster, and like it's like you're literally flying in the cockpit of like a fighter jet or in a spaceship. And here is what STFU is. Here we go. And there is music playing. I don't know if you can hear it, Matt, but the audience can. And I want to full screen this, so I'm going to open it here.
Yeah, play it out for YouTube.
Yeah.
Full experience.
Here we go.
Oh, back, yeah.
Now here's actual gameplay footage, right? Awesome.
It's multiplayer, so this is single player, so this is
Hold on 1 second. What was that?
Some of it's single player, multiplayer, mix of both.
I've watched this trailer like 20 times. I've watched this trailer so many times. So That's awesome, dude. My like 7-year-old brain when Descent came out, and like from like 7 to like I don't know, like 11 years old, and I was playing that game a lot. If I would have seen this and played this, I would have just like reality would have ceased to have any meaning to me. Like 30 years later, this is just crazy comparing what we just saw with Descent's
Yeah,
gameplay to that. That was awesome. So the first like half of the trailer was like cinematic storyline kind of stuff, and then the other half was the
features.
gameplay.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's like I was like there's like mining and like so you could do like mining and
yep,
harvesting, and you
yep.
can do you know you're battling things and you're so okay, before I get too excited and start talking really fast like I do you
Uh-huh.
want to just tell me like how does this work? Just give me like a rundown. Like the we talked about the 6 degrees of freedom. We so first off, can I use my thrustmaster with your game?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Really?
They Thrustmaster actually sent us hardware because that is it's part of the genre, right? Everybody wants that feeling. It's not required, of course. I don't want people to feel like they got to go out and drop a bunch of money on a cool kit there,
Yeah.
but it absolutely supports it.
This was like $50 I think on Amazon, and like I got it from Microsoft Flight Simulator and Elite Dangerous, and like
Yeah,
it is like yeah, using the keyboard and mouse is just fine, but when you start playing with it gives like a whole different feel to the kind of
yeah.
game. It's not necessary at all, but it's fun. If you've
It's
got one of
fun.
these already, like you can usually get them pretty cheap, and
Yeah, we appreciate
it's
their
fun.
support. Like they're a great group of guys to work with too.
So
Thrustmaster.
that's awesome that they've actually sent you guys some to test out with in your
Mm-hmm.
development.
Yeah,
Yeah. So do you want to just kind of talk about like how the game works?
sure,
Like give me an overview
sure.
of the game itself. Not like the Web3 stuff yet, but just
Not yet.
like
No. Yeah. So honestly, that is a great lead in. I think for us, the job number one is to make a great game, frankly. So this is a great, we've got Medium articles. We've got such a ton of information put out there that hopefully it's not information overload, but for your viewers, there's plenty to go read on Medium or on our website or the white paper. So we're going to dive into the mechanics of the game first. So like we said, the core thesis of STFU was to reimagine that old school genre. And there have been a lot of great games, by the way, in the genre. Beyond Descent, there's Overload, again, great. That's Matt and Mike who innovated the actual Descent game, and a bunch of other developers. For us, what we wanted were RPG mechanics, right? We wanted crafting and mining and just a fuller experience. Being able to go pledge to a contact and go on missions. A little bit feels a little bit like Destiny in some spots. Feels a little bit like Warframe in some spots. So at its heart are the ships. So we have this whole fleshed out world with a lot of lore that comes up both in gameplay and in some of our story modes. But when we talk about ships, so if you scroll down, so we've got these basic ships that you can get. Everybody can jump in. So let's talk about it is free to play and Web3. I think
okay.
that's pretty innovative. So at its heart, anybody can come jump in, and you can get your free basic ships, and you can just start playing. There's no barrier to entry. You don't need to buy anything. You can start playing. On the free to play side, we built this into the lore. We have our corporate ships, Corp ships. Those generally are unlimited quantity, but limited time sales. So they're only available during a certain window. They are functionally identical, gameplay wise, to our next category ship, which is chain ships. So the only difference being chain ships, of course, are on the chain. They have
Mm,
limited quantity, right? So they're the opposite of corp ships. They have limited quantity, and they're available till they sell out. But the big difference is, chain ships can be sold. They can come off the account, whereas corp ships can't. You bought that ship, it stays on your account. It's not tradable, and it's not a blockchain asset, whereas chain ships can be traded. The other big difference is
hmm.
chain ships get to participate in our play to earn reward system. So when you're completing missions and you're beating other players, you actually get extra on-chain rewards. So things like Thorite and Nano are resource systems that you only get to participate in with a with a chain ship. So let's talk about ships in general. So those are the two categories. We know what those are, right? Corp and chain. And like I said, like corporate ships, in our world, you have all these asteroids out there, right? We know where the asteroid belt is in real life. But in this world, big, large mega corporations own those asteroids, right? They're constantly looking for pilots to come in, mine those asteroids and get the resources. And a little bit like real corporations, they keep a lot of the rewards for themselves, right? So just like that, corp ships, you don't get those chain resources. Corps are keeping that, and you don't get to trade it off your account, right? So because you're kind of leasing it from the corporation. That's how it kind of works.
Okay, so the free-to-play version, those players will have access to corporate ships, and they'll work basically for the megacorps in the universe, mining the asteroids that the megacorps own and have the rights to. So like these players will come out here, they'll be able to do basically the same gameplay elements, but they're working for the man, right? They're working for the big guy.
They're missing out on some of the rewards, some of the best rewards they miss out on.
Okay, so they don't own their own enterprise yet. They're basically an employee for the megacorps in the universe. They're out there, they're playing for fun and everything, but they don't get to keep the monetary value of the resources that they harvest and the achievements like that. And they also can't trade their ships for monetary value, right?
Correct. Yeah.
But the chain ships can. So this is more of the play to earn portal into your universe here. So if I want to play to earn and I want to try to make money playing your game, I would acquire a chain ship, and then I would be able to monetize the harvesting and the harvesting of the materials and the raw materials, and then also the multiplayer aspects of it. You can also earn in different ways, and then also you get to customize your ships, trade them around as well. Cool, man. That's
any open marketplace. Yeah, so you've nailed it. That's exactly it. That's functionally identical, though. I do want to point out, like, there's no advantage or disadvantage to having one or the other in gameplay. When I'm in a match, they function the same.
Okay, so somebody who doesn't have who doesn't want to put any money into this, they just want to play the game, have some fun, play with their friends maybe who are doing this, and they can come in here, get a corp ship, and they can compete and play along with people who are maybe more experienced with like their chain ships that are decked out and they've got all these resources. Somebody else can come in here and do all the same stuff, and actually if they're really skilled, could they compete on the same level as somebody who's kind of bought the fancier 100%. Stuff? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I've noticed. Pay to play models
to win. Yeah, unfortunately, that's super stigmatized, right? So we don't want pay to win. We don't want, pay to win boils down to this, right? If you can have a player who's inexperienced buy the best thing and start winning, then that's pay to win, right? Like in our game, it doesn't really matter. You could take any experienced player, give them the basic ship, put them up against an inexperienced player with the best ship, and the experienced player will always win. That's how we balance that.
That's ideal. So me and my friends, like I've been a gamer my whole life. I've recently taken a step back because I'm a workaholic at this point, and I've been building a bunch of businesses. But like my whole life, like 30 years, like games were my main release and outlet and like hobby to have fun. Me and my friends make games on the side, stupid little games, nothing like serious, but like we're always talking about those models. Like, is the pay to play better than like the freemium games, stuff like that? And we always talk like, man, I like this game, but somebody can just come in with a bunch of money, buy all this stuff, and then they win.
Then they win.
We can't even compete.
No fun. No fun.
This is a skill-based game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then, so if you keep going, so let's talk about ships. The ships have there's 20 different ship types. They fall into 5 different roles. So we've got, just like League of Legends, you've got a bunch of champions in League of Legends, right? But they fall into some pretty standard roles, right? You've got an assault ship, you've got a defender ship, a mining ship, a hauling ship, and an engineering ship, right? So that's just the role. And that is important, actually, because in the game, you've got a bunch of different modes to engage on. And some of those modes you're playing in a team. So how you construct your team, right? I want one hauler, one miner, I want 2 assault ships, like how you construct the team is all strategy, right? I've leveled up, I'm playing an engineering ship and I play support to the rest of my team effectively. I'm healing them or I'm helping mitigate damage, I'm repairing their ship, that sort of thing. So like there's a lot of deep mechanics here that are super fun from just constructing a team or getting into these modes. So our ships break down into 3 types. So there's 20 types of ships. So we've got like, those are like the Saber and the Xanadu and the Prometheus. They've all got names. And when we release ships, we can release them in one of 3 ways, right? So perfect. So here's an example of the Augur. So we'll point that out. So that's a ship type. And just like any RPG, I've got a skill tree, right? We call it tech tree. And so I gain experience on this ship, playing this ship specifically, and I can slowly put points into different technical skills, right? So this one, it makes me laugh every time. Mine first, shoot laser, right? The Augur is a miner. So in this case, what we're doing though is after you mine, you get 20% damage for a minute to go attack people, right? So it's just me saying, oh, I want to lean into this sort of nuanced style of gameplay that suits what I want, as opposed to maybe one of the different options. You can see there's different skills that this particular player didn't choose. So tech trees are ways to customize your ship based on experience that are unique to each. The tree is unique to each type of ship. So if you keep going, we also have
this game is complicated. I mean, you are involved here. This isn't just like you get a basic like ship and then you just go like shoot each other and that's it.
Right,
like you got tech trees, like RPG elements. You can like level up in customized fashion, so you're not just like blasting each other. If you want, you could you just make yourself like a like a simple miner that just like specializes in harvesting asteroids and like just chipping away at an asteroid. Like sometimes that's how people like to play sometimes, right?
Yeah. So just like most MMOs, you want to kind of cater to a bunch of different play styles, right? And I'll talk about that further because I think it's a really important point. Like we wanted to support a bunch of avenues for people coming into the game. It's easy to play. Like you remember playing your first 6 Degrees of Freedom and you jump into matches and you play. Like that's all there is to it, right? But beyond that, if you're having a good time, like collecting resources, leveling up your ship, and then this next piece, which I think is really cool, is modifying, creating mods. And for that, we have an entire crafting system where you can take recipes for mods and you can use the resources you've harvested to craft them. Now, mods are not ship specific. So we have slots that go on each ship that you can just fill with any mod you create or can craft. So a level 1 engine mod, this is slow but deadly. We're putting it on one of our haulers here. It's just a way of, again, augmenting the ship through experience, through crafting, and you've spent the time to go get those resources and build out your ship. So super deep, but fun right from the beginning. You're playing missions, you're having fun, and then you get to kind of like slowly modify your ship to your play style.
So that's awesome.
So then,
can you have multiple ships?
Of course, right? Just like, you may on one, specific day, you may want to be playing a hauler on another day. Each of the ship types, right? So there's 5 roles, but there's 20 ship types. So we have 4 examples of each role. So there's 4 different assault ships, 4 different defenders. And just like League of Legends for the champions, each one is kind of a different expression of that role. Like the way that it is an assault ship is different. Like the Saber's an assault ship, we have a different assault vehicle that, it just expresses its tech tree differently on how it operates and has slightly different stats and that sort of thing. So the way we handle ships, they come in 3. We put them out in 3 different ways, and we can go back to that slide. So it is we've got the distinction of chain and corp. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I think you had it up earlier. It was the 3 different ship type breakdown. There we go. We're perfect. Yeah. So we've got our corp and our chain ships. We have basic ships. These are 1 ship from each role. Everybody gets access to these. You can level them up. Again, you can jump in. There's no barrier to play, right? Then we've got preset ships. We sell these. And in free-to-play, when we look at free-to-play economies, you're basically trading time for money. You can grind away. You can craft these mods. You can make an exact copy of a preset, right, using a basic ship. You can eventually get there. or you can just buy one, and that's just trading time for money. It's no better than the person that grinded out the resources to go do it, right? But it is, functionally kind of one to one. You can, it's got some open mod slots that you can modify. It's got some locked ones, and then there's legendaries. Legendaries are really thematic. You can see on the left there, this one is actually molten lava. We do a bunch of special effects with the look of legendaries. And we're going to talk about one once we get there. But these are, we sell these. The thing about a legendary is they have a unique look and they have one unique mod. You can't craft that mod. You can only get it by getting a legendary. And legendaries, of course, come in chain or Corp variation. So you can get the sellable, tradable version, the chain version, right? Or you can get the free-to-play version.
So let's look at, as a free-to-play player, you could still get a legendary ship?
You can grind out the earned currency or the paid currency, basically. We drip feed that in there. You can win enough of that to literally go buy the legendaries. The way you get the legendaries on the free-to-play side is a bit different. You basically grind out the currency to rent them. And every time you rent it, you have a higher and higher chance randomly of just getting it permanently awarded to your account. So it's not a loot box mechanic where you basically buy a loot box, you get like a 1% chance every time of getting it. That's abusive. We didn't want that. Here with the rental system, and it's an innovation we created with the rental system, you get the ship you want for a limited amount of time. But every time you rent it, you also get a random chance. Increasingly, your percentage goes up of just getting the ship permanently. So we don't let you buy them on the free-to-play side directly. You rent them and kind of win them.
So if you rent it enough times, though, do you like rent to own it eventually? Like
pretty much, yes, it is exactly that model. Like once you've rented a legendary ship X number of times, you will always get it. Like there's a cap. We're not gonna just keep abusing you and letting you keep renting it. But
I have a friend who lost like $700 to loot boxes trying to get a football player in like an NFL game, and I'm just like, dude, you need to turn that game off, man. He's like, right. What have I done with my life?
It was probably like a free-to-play game, right? He can't even trade that off the account, right? Like he went and got it, he spent all that money, but then now it's not even an asset he can trade or sell. So
it was on PlayStation. Like it was like I was like, dude, what are you doing, man? Stop with the loot boxes. So I like this. This is a very cool idea. I actually haven't heard of somebody doing like
it's a system we invented,
rent to own model, basically.
Yeah. When we took over APB, they had loot boxes. We didn't like that mechanic, and so we converted it to a rental model. One thing in general, is there are some mechanics in STFU that we got to innovate on, and we borrowed some of the mechanics from APB because we love them and we like how they work, and so it's really allowed us to fill out. That's that whole reimagining the 6 degrees of freedom. So I think we have examples. There's probably 3 more slides really quickly. One example of a basic ship. So here's a basic ship. You'll notice that the basic ship has a couple unlocked mods where you can craft those mods. Again, you can go chase the kind of thing you want to do, unlock mods. And then they have a locked mod slot. So locked mod slots, depending on the ship, you cannot do anything with, right? So they're going to prevent you from putting a mod in there. And so obviously the most valuable ships you can get, and you get them in progression, and the more you play, this is just what you start with. The more you play, you get other free basic ships that have unlocked various mod spots, right? But the most valuable one would be a completely unlocked ship that you can do whatever you want with. You can put whatever you want there. That would be the most valuable one. But so that's an example of a basic ship. Nothing preloaded on it. The next example is a preset. There we go. And in this case, you can see that they've got a paint job on there. They've got some trails, some cosmetic mods that they went and either crafted or bought. So in this case, we're selling. This is a specific preset that we might sell, or like I said, someone went through. Grinded out all the resources to make it. And then they've got a utility mod, which is a performance mod, that thermal converter. So in this case, ship energy regenerates passively, but while it's doing it, you deal a little less damage. So its mods typically have a pro and a con. So they're not just a straight up upgrade that make you totally better. Some of them we balance so they can be an upgrade, but they don't influence the fight too much. But these are great. The bulk of what we sell are these presets. So it just means you've traded time for money. We put some mods in there for you. You could have went and spent all the time to make them yourself. Instead, we give you the ability to kind of buy it for a limited time, and you can run with it.
Now, can you swap out the mods multiple times? Like, if I have unlocked slots on a ship that I've acquired, and I put my basic mod in there.
So maybe a level 1 mod, and you want to go to level 2. Yeah. So you have to destroy it. You can't get the mod back out and reuse it. You destroy the mod, but you can unlock that slot again and then put a new mod in.
okay, so I say I get like this saber ship
Yep.
and I put in like a mod that makes my guns stronger, like a
Right.
level 1 weapon. So I
Right.
would, if I get like a level 2 weapon and I want to upgrade it, I would destroy my level 1 weapon that is in the slot. I would
Yep.
destroy it, and then I would be
Yep.
able to take my level 2 weapon mod and put
Yep.
it in there.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So I don't have to destroy the whole ship,
No. 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 No.
just what's in that slot already. Cool.
Yeah, yeah,
That's great.
and remember, like we have chain versions of these presets, so you can trade these off your account if you have a chain version,
Okay.
and they get to participate in all the pay to earn mechanics. You know, it's a full on blockchain asset. So because you have it in a wallet, we have a place that we can send rewards to. That's basically what it boils down to.
Interesting. And I have a bunch of questions about the blockchain Web3
Yeah,
integrations, but I want to go finish going through the game itself
sure,
because the
sure.
game is like this
It's a
is
full
not
game.
like
Yeah,
anything I've ever seen in Web3 world. Like everybody always talks like big games and like they've got like a fancy thematic trailer, but no gameplay footage. It's always just like pie in the sky, like these are
little
our
smoke and
plans.
mirrors.
Yeah, smoke
Yeah,
and mirrors. Like everyone talks about the metaverse, right? And they're like,
yeah.
it's VR and it's gonna be like this whole world. You won't be able to tell the difference between real life and the game. And they've been saying that for like years, and I'm just like, so when I hear people say metaverse, like my BS meter, like my BS flag
Right,
goes up, and I'm like, what are these guys just doing the smoke and mirror things? But you have like legit like years of development. The gameplay is like ready, and you're just
yeah.
integrating the final like Web3 stuff. So
The
I really
blockchain.
want to
Yeah.
focus on this game. So tell me
Yeah.
now more about the legendary
These are
ships.
fun. These are the design team having fun. So this is our saber ship type, but what we've done is created it's a legendary version of the saber called the Gladius. And the Gladius is a thematic. If you don't know what a Gladius is, it's a Roman weapon that they used in the Roman legions. And so we've taken that aesthetic, basically created, chrome plating, decals and paint jobs. It's got this like very kind of nice, fun paint job. But the thing about a legendary is it also comes with a unique mod. Could be any one of the mod slots, right? So you got like the whole utility. In this case, the Gladius comes with a unique weapon mod, and that's called siege rounds. And so siege rounds is 15% of your damage is going to pierce shields. And so that means it just directly damages the whole of the ship you're fighting. So the legendaries, like I said, are super fun ship styles. They're not pay to win. We try to balance them in the game economy, right? But they're limited quantity. We don't do a lot of these. And so when you can get one, and again, players who are on the free-to-play side have to rent them to kind of collect them. Players on the chain side have to participate in the drop when they come out. But they're super over the top. We have a couple others. You saw a glimpse of one, which is one of our ships that's molten. It's a version of our Prometheus ship, but it actually has like a molten core, so you can see lava on the inside of the ship. And so they just, the goal is they're just over the top. They look cool. They've got like some cool gameplay element on them, and they're meant to be just super fun to play with.
Now the Gladius. You said there's like a limited amount of the legendary ships. Is the Gladius like is that a one-off or is there like a set of them available for each
Right.
like subset of legendary ship?
Right. So the way we create scarcity on the free-to-play side is that rental mechanic, right? You can't just buy the Gladius. You have to go through the rental system and hope to win one. You will eventually win it, by the way. Like I said, we're not abusive in that way. If you rent it enough times, you'll get it. Randomly, you can get it the first time you rent it, and that's the key for free-to-play players. They can grind a little bit of that currency. It's our premium currency. You don't get a lot, but you grind away, do the rental. You might get lucky and get it the first time, and now you own a legendary. Like you have a legendary free to play, the Corp version of legendary, right? On the chain side, these are drop only. So very limited quantity. We're not doing a ton of these when we mint them. We mint them at a limited quantity. They go up in the drop, and once they're gone, they're gone. We don't remint these. What we do is we'll come back eventually and we'll do a different legendary version of that same ship type. So we'll see a different legendary of the Saber, right? That's the basic ship type, but it'll have a different set of cosmetics and a different mod. So it'll be effectively a different ship. The Gladius is, in this case, it's one of the first legendaries we're going to release. And so players can have fun with that.
So I'm just gonna throw out random numbers to make an example. Right. So let's say you're gonna have like 50 Gladius ships ever made, and those people who grab those first 50 are going to be the only ones who will ever have the unique
Yeah,
traits or mods like this Gladius decal as well as the siege round weapons. After that's done, no one else will ever be able to have these, right?
correct. Correct. So we're going to do more than
Okay.
50. We wanted approachable pricing here, right? Like we're not talking about, thousands of dollars. We're talking much, much less expensive. Typically, when you look at a game like APB is a great example, right? When we sell a preset, that's like a $10 item free to play, right? When we sell a legendary, it's like a $50 item free to play. So our chain versions of those are not going to be that different in price, right? Marginally more expensive, but what we want is the free to play player to like look over the fence and be like, oh my gosh, if I had the chain version of that, right? I could be getting all this extra stuff. So I'm going to go do that, right? We're not trying to kind of split the existing pie. We're trying to grow the pie. I want to bring more gamers into DeFi and to GameFi.
And if a so is there a limited amount of free to play available Gladiuses?
No, no, those are the way we create scarcity. You have to go through that rental system. You have to win them. And so we're never going to cap those. You can always go back and try to get those. But they're kind of harder to get, right? You pay money to rent them. You get them for 7 days. And if you didn't win it the first time, right, then you rent it again and you rent it again. So on average, you'll get it just using straight math. You'll get it the fourth or fifth time or sixth time you rent it. So players have to be pretty diligent about like grinding through that. And that's true of all free to play players. Like nobody can just straight up go and buy it. Like you have to kind of go through and kind of win it through the rental system. But you'll
So
see people playing them. They rented it, right? They rented it and maybe they love it. So the cool part is like maybe they rented it and they're like, oh, I don't want to sit here and grind through this. I'm just going to go get the chain. I'm going to try to look at the market, find a person who has the chain ship up for sale. And I'm just going to buy that because it's the only way to directly buy the legendary.
okay. So if they want to get it on like if they want to get a chain ship version of it and they've loved renting it or even owning the Corp
Right.
version of it,
Right.
but they want to use it in your level runs and mining and stuff and in a way to generate chain
Yeah.
rewards,
Yeah.
they have to go to the secondary peer-to-peer market,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yep.
Crazy.
Exactly.
Okay, this is all like I've never heard of a model like this. So this is kind of this is new stuff you're doing here in a
It
AAA
is pretty
game.
innovative. I like to think of us as kind of like Star Atlas's little brother. We've got some innovative things we're doing, right? But we're coming out this year. That's the like I personally I'm so excited about it because the game's been done. We can talk about the history of the game later. The game's been done for a while, and so being able to reveal all these mechanics of a full featured game that just has a really thoughtful approach to blockchain is just really exciting. This is Unreal 4.27. It's funny, we watched the trailer and that was all cut with Unreal 4.2, 4.20. And so we haven't yet cut new footage from the upgrade with new lighting. And, so like it looks better than the trailer, I guess is where I'm going, because we just did the engine upgrade. So it's
It,
pretty exciting. It's probably a good segue to talk about some of the mechanics, right? The blockchain
yeah.
mechanics. So that's the game. It is literally doing missions, right? I will say that we have all three major modes of a game, and that's intentional. So we have single player missions, meaning if you're not familiar with 6 Degrees of Freedom, you never played one of these, right? You can get in and play the game by yourself against the computer. It's a single player only, and you can learn how to play, right? Most players do not have the confidence to start a game and just jump right into PvP matches, right? That means you're losing against another player. It can be really stressful. So single player to me is the easiest way to jump in, start playing the game. The second mode is my personal favorite, and that's PvE co-op. So that means you're still playing against a computer, but you're playing on a team with your friends. And so I think that's a really important step in the player journey because now you've mastered the game a little bit. You feel comfortable. You still don't want to lose to another live player, but you get to play with your friends who may or may not be better than you. And you can learn from them. They can show you the tips and tricks. Like that's super cool. And then finally, we have full on PvP multiplayer. We have a bunch of different modes. I noticed you're clicking through the white paper there. There's tons of information in the white
So
paper. I
much.
hope it's
Your white paper is
not
so
information
detailed. Yeah.
overload. Yeah. So we have anarchy mode. We have corporate war. Those are coming out right with release. Those are the top two modes there. They're both anarchy is basically deathmatch 24 players. Corporate war is teams of up to 6 players. That's where those ship roles really come into play, right? Like how are you going to construct your team? What's the makeup of that team and how are you going to get them to work together? So you guys basically get into a map with 36 multiplayer maps and you get to duke it out while trying to get resources and defend against enemy attacks. There's a whole kind of strategy element there, and you're trying to get out with the most resources. So corporate war is super fun spin on team-based PvP. Lots of depth there. So I think, at a high level, right, we got 6 degrees of freedom shooter, traditional game mechanics. You got single player PvP co-op plus multiplayer PvP. We got a whole meta game of harvesting resources, leveling up your ships with experience, doing the tech trees, and doing mods.
Man,
loads of stuff.
So much going on. I wish we had 10 hours to just go through all this. When this comes out, we should do a demo and really go through this, because
I love that you pulled up the roadmap, actually. So this is our chart, basically September, October, November, and December. December, the game comes out. I mean, it'll be an MVP launch. It's not a demo. We will have all the core features in that launch, including the blockchain pieces, which we're going to get into, and the single player. It's feature rich, and then ongoing. So we know as a publisher what it takes to run live ops, right? That is, everybody focuses on the development. And then, unfortunately, a lot of these blockchain teams that are releasing Web3 games have no idea how to support the game once it comes out. That is live ops. That's about creating events, weekend kind of moments where you're doing something different. You're putting a little spin on the multiplayer that weekend, or you're doing something different with the PvE co-op, and then running holidays, dropping new content, putting new ships out there. It's all about keeping the meta fresh.
Yeah, and you're an interesting study here, because you're coming from the big game world, right? The legit game studio, AAA game side of things, and bringing in that Web3, some of the Web3 mechanics and integrations, where I'm coming from in the DeFi world, you have people spinning up things they're just forking smart contracts, throwing up some really basic, bad, front ends, dapps, that you just you click a few buttons and that's it. Maybe they have some kind of HTML5 integration with their game, but it's very rare that you see that. And generally it's meaningless kind of in terms of gameplay. But this is legit gameplay, competitive, fast-paced, built in Unreal, and this is just crazy, man.
So it's worth noting. I'm going to throw one more thing out there. Not everybody's a gamer. Not everybody has a gaming rig, right? Not everybody's going to jump into that full experience. We also have a web-based experience where if you own these NFTs, right, if you own chain assets, you can go onto the web and you can also send them on missions, right? You're not going to play through the mission, but you can send them out, and we call it conscription, and they can pull back over time. They can pull back resources. And so we'll have some of that, I'll say, gamified blockchain mechanic-y stuff that other people are calling a full game. That's kind of we'll call that a side experience for some of our people that, hey, they may not want to jump into the main game, but they may want to do harvesting and crafting and some of those things. And we're going to let them do that, right? There's a mechanic where they can just go through the web and that could be their whole experience, and they'll have fun with that, and they can build up their assets and sell them or trade them and buy them. That's all fine. We just want an underlying game that's the traditional real game underneath it all to go play.
Now, with that mechanic, so you're going to have kind of a dapp front end web application where you can play an abstracted version of this, where you don't need the full game engine, but you can interact with the smart contracts and build out your NFTs and your the stuff in your wallet and trade on the marketplace still. So the way I see that, for some people, they're probably gonna be at their 9 to 5 in the office, waiting to go home and play the game. But during 9 to 5, they're our boss isn't looking. They're gonna pull up the website and they're gonna they're gonna be leveling up, trading resources, trading ships, trading mods, and I think that's that's an interesting concept, and it's going to be the same game. So that's the beauty of the blockchain and smart contracts and all of that, is that it's a database really that exists that you can play through like your web portal, your dapp front end, or through your game engine with your integrations there, or
Yeah.
even just like somebody can go on and interact with the smart contracts directly if they know what they're doing, probably.
Right.
And
And just
they,
manipulate that directly. Yeah. If they want to write something that interacts with smart, like great, like we're going to let them do that. I think you're right. I mean, I think it's just from us, from our perspective, like we're gamers, obviously, but we also realize this space has a lot of non-gamers. So we've talked a lot about how deep the game is. I just want to make sure people also understand like that can be intimidating. We get that. But there's a lot for non-gamers to also kind of, interact with here.
and
All
would
right.
that
So
work
I
on your
think
phone as well, like your dapp front end? So if
phone
I'm
is
out in a
definitely something, right? We definitely
yeah.
want to share that experience on mobile.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because most
absolutely.
dApps will work on mobile. So like and a
Just
lot of people have their
HTML.
wallets on their phones and nowhere like
Mhm.
not nowhere else. So like if somebody wants to play and they've only got mobile with like MetaMask or Trust Wallet, would they be
That's
able to like
exactly
go to
it.
your dApp, buy like one of these chain ships really, deck it
Yep.
out, send it on
Yep.
like automated
Conscription.
missions,
Automated
conscription,
missions. Yep. Yep.
and level up, gain experience, gain rewards, gain raw materials, do all that stuff, and then trade their ships and interact with the whole marketplace all from their
Absolutely.
phone as well.
And the resources. I think it's important. Like gamers may want to just go through missions and play that side of the game, and then just hit the marketplace and be like, you know what? I don't have time to go get all these resources. I'm going to get those off the marketplace by someone who's just on the little dapp web, the website, right? And but they can feed that economy for people who are crafting mods or doing other things. So we want a multi-sided system where people can kind of engage it with the time they have and whatever mission. It's probably a good segue, my alarm, to talk about Web 2.5. Web 2.5 is a term that we created, and maybe to get into blockchain, right? Do you want to talk about some of the blockchain stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So
All right,
that's where my audience generally
right,
comes from, and that's why I wanted to make sure like they know that they can take part in this from their web browser, from their phone, even if they don't have a gaming PC. So that's the
right.
beauty of this. Like it's a mind-blowing concept that like I don't think I've never seen this done before where you can kind of play in all different
You get both. Yeah, you get both.
yeah.
I think it's important also, I'll qualify it in the roadmap. We're launching the game first, right? The full experience, that's the hard part, I'll say, right? Is putting
Yeah.
something out that nobody's ever seen before. There are plenty of people doing dApps and those experiences. I'm not knocking those, but that's easier, right? We're starting with launching the full game. We want to kind of put our money where our mouth's at and show people what that's all about. And then we'll just feed in all those other experiences, which are much easier to do, interacting with the smart contracts and things like that.
Yeah,
But
you're turning the narrative around because most people say, "Oh, we'll launch the dapp and the smart contracts first,
and
and
then
like
we'll eventually
way
get
like years down the road we'll have this
no,
like
no, no,
3D game and it'll be awesome, you guys." And then like a month later their project's dead, right?
right,
Like
right.
where you
It's
guys are
not
like game first and everything's done legit, like the gameplay works, multiplayer, everything's like functioning, and then all of a sudden you just
now we can feed in all
you can
those other experiences.
feed in
Absolutely, you got a whole
NFTs,
ecosystem.
tokens, chains.
Yeah,
So let's talk about the web. What do you mean when you guys you mentioned Web 2.5 all the time?
right,
Do you want to just
right.
kind of explain what you mean by that?
Sure, sure. So from our perspective, again, being newish to blockchain, we came in, and it's really the concept that we love Web3. Honestly, like there is some just super innovative stuff there. I feel like we, as a community, blockchain ran before we could walk. Right? We just jumped into the deep end of Web3. Right? You talked about some of these GameFi, DeFi projects, right? That just they sort of promised the world, and they tried some mechanics, and then, unfortunately, folks like Axie learned some pretty hard lessons, right? And I don't want to knock them. I mean, they were really innovative first movers. They were in this space. But our basic premise here is we need to walk before we run and do a hybrid model. Okay. And what I mean by that is we're going to run free to play alongside play to earn or create to earn. And that's critical. Okay. So and more importantly, like I want to, here's the deal right there. That's an important spot. If you talk to the average traditional gamer and you utter the word NFT, the hate is real. Like they will have such a visceral reaction to that. And there's, it's you can see it on them, right? And it comes from two misconceptions. I think the first one is, they fear that crypto or blockchain or NFTs are just another layer of monetization, frankly, right? So they've already, their experience with microtransactions in free to play, their experience with battle passes that are part of free to play, right? And they worry that, oh my gosh, I'm already spending this money, this much. Now I'm going to have to pay for, crypto assets or gas fees and all this other stuff on top of all that. And that's a legit fear, right? And that, there have been other movers in the space that are less scrupulous, right? And it's a cash grab for them, right? So they're trying to kind of like add things to a game that's already existing. And so that's no good. So that's the first fear.
That actually, I think, stems from the whole DLC abuse, where downloadable content, right? So you'd buy a game, you'd spend $50 on this game, and you think you got the whole game, but then you realize quickly, oh, I need to pay $5 for this, $10 for this, $20 for this.
Day one.
Yeah, to get to these like levels and
right. They could have put it in the game. It was a day one DLC, right? Instead of putting it in the game, they held it back. They sold you extra things, and that's fine. I'm not knocking that. I mean, game development is inherently expensive. I will look every every possible player in the face and say we have spent millions on this game.
But I think there's a right way to do it and a wrong way. Where, like you were saying, there's unscrupulous ways to do it, and then there's like tactful, meaningful ways to do it where it's mutually beneficial, where it allows you to continue development and generating more content that the gamers actually want on top of your initial offering,
Yeah, exactly. So that second misconception, so first misconception, monetization, right? They just think it's a money-making scheme. The second one is also real, where they feel like their favorite game, right? You've got like Call of Duty or a shooter, they love that game. They feel like that game is going to get infiltrated with gimmicky breeding mechanics, or like you already mentioned, right? Some of the things they're doing in these dapps or in these sort of Web3 games, it's going to like muck up their gaming experience. And again, that's a real fear, right? Like nobody wants their favorite franchise. Like imagine you seeing Descent, right? And you love that game. And then all of a sudden, in order to play the game, you have to breed ships and you have to do this like weird. And then like, you'd be like, oh, I just want to, and they remove the whole shooter, right? There's no more shooter anymore. Like that's not Descent, right? So in addressing these two concerns, part of what we wanted to do was create Web 2.5, a halfway step, right? If you want to come play the game and you're a traditional gamer and you're used to free to play, you can do that. Period. You never, ever have to interact with the blockchain side, right? And I think that's important because I want gamers to first and foremost like the game, right? And if they want to just spend on free to play and do that, great. But the whole time they're playing, we're going to give them a window, right? At the end of a match, hey, here's the rewards you got. And here were the blockchain rewards, which you didn't get because your ship's not on chain. It's not in a wallet we can reward. If you had a chain ship, you could get this, right? Or, hey, by the way, you're playing our version of Metaverse Land, which we'll talk about next, right? And by the way, you could do the same thing. You could make a level and you could design the stuff out, but you kind of have to engage the blockchain side of things for that. And it's just, again, simply put, we have to be able to authenticate that Metaverse Land in order to be able to pay out the create to earn rewards. It's that simple. It is, in my opinion, the best use case of blockchain. It's not a Ponzi scheme. There's no sell pressure, right, on the next generation. We saw that. This article talks about that. The first wave of Web3 games was like the first generation got a bunch of stuff that they then tried to sell to the next generation, which they then tried to sell to the third generation. And it ended up being not sustainable. And so what we wanted to do was take a real thoughtful view into how to create a sustainable blockchain game, which we're saying for now, until the community builds up a little more, is Web 2.5, right? So here's the kicker, which I think is awesome. Both sides will enjoy the participation of the other, right? So on one side, my free-to-play players, right, they get to play user-generated content. These are our asteroid runs where blockchain players have bought a piece of metaverse land and designed out their own level, right? And so they get to build kind of like a tower defense game. They get to build out the turrets and the enemy bots. They get a budget of Nano. That's our resource in game that fabricates elements, right? So they get a budget of Nano, and that's going to defend their resources, right? And then free-to-play players, along with blockchain players, can make teams and then go invade that asteroid run and compete over those play-to-earn resources, right? And so we talked about peeking over the fence, right? That free-to-play player on a team of two other blockchain players is going to get to see like, oh, they had chain ships, and at the end of this mission, our gameplay experience was identical in the match. And after the match, they get to see like, wow, they got these extra things because they had a wallet attached to that ship that could be paid the rewards, right? I have a free-to-play ship. I don't have a wallet attached to it. I can't be paid the rewards. It's that simple. That's what blockchain is. And so on the flip side, and here's the kicker. So already I feel like we have some really cool gameplay. I love our mod system. I love all that, right? Then we have this idea of user-generated content asteroid runs. It's our version of utility-based land, right? Levels in a game. That's endless, right? Exactly. And then lastly, we have the free-to-play revenue, which comes in as dollars, right? Being converted in real time to USDC. It's a tokenized USD, right? And being added to our treasury. So for the first time, a full publisher is going to make transparent the revenue we earn. The revenue on free-to-play, the revenue on the blockchain side is fully on ledger. But what does that really mean? Having USDC in our treasury gives us the ability to do a couple really powerful things. One is we can fund development, marketing, hosting, the same kind of game development things, right? Without selling our own token, right? There was this core flaw in some of the early tokenomics designs of Web3 games where they were like, oh, we're going to populate our treasury with our token and we'll sell our token off to pay for our costs. But then investors see that sell activity and they panic. Like, why is the team selling their own token, right? That's typically a bad sign. And so it creates problems, right? Or in their token design, they have play to earn tokens set aside in their treasury. But in order to keep paying out, they either A, they run out because it's a limited quantity, or B, it's endless and it becomes inflationary. So one day you're playing for dollars and the next day you're playing for pennies, right? Because the value of the token has gone haywire. So here, what is crazy cool, this is something we came up with, obviously I'm very passionate about it, is we can take that USD in our treasury via smart contract and buy our own token, right? So when the token dips, we can buy STFU, put it back into our treasury and replenish the play to earn or create to earn rewards. It's critical. Without it being inflationary, right? It does so many cool mechanics for our token and for the game. It just means we have basically an endless stream. While it's limited quantity, we have an endless stream of play to earn tokens we can pay out to the players, and we're showing the revenue we're receiving on the free to play side, right? So play to earn loves the free to play side, right? They're funding the rewards that they get to earn. So these two economies that are kind of married together have a lot of great interplay back and forth. So that's Web 2.5 in a nutshell, is just the interaction of free to play and blockchain together. I think you asked earlier about Steam. Steam does not allow blockchain games. You can't put a blockchain game up in Steam. What you can do is we can take our free-to-play game, right? Little Walled Garden, and we can put that on Steam, right? So from a marketing standpoint, we have the reach into Epic Store, into Steam. We have our traditional marketing, right? Like, that is a healthy game that unfortunately other Web3 games can't do. They're barred from entry into some of these storefronts because they're a Web3 game. Web 2.5 gives us that flexibility to be able to leverage all the stores, right? All the revenue.
Interesting. I totally see this model getting knocked off, even though the barrier to entry to knock something off is like years and years and years of game development, right? If you're going to do it well. So like, I think this is a brilliant model, this Web 2.5 that you're doing. And I see this probably becoming a very standard method of rolling out Web3 integrated games, but it takes a long time to develop a really good game from the game side first, right? So you kind of have a first mover advantage in this strategy where it's going to take years for you to have any real competitor, unless somebody is like on your team, like developing something on the side, like, you know what I mean?
I think the biggest compliment that could be paid is for this to catch on. I believe in it. I think it's not only is it good for the game sustainability, but it's also bringing, hopefully, right? We're rewriting that narrative, the hate that they express for NFTs, right? Well, here now they're getting content for it. They're getting a ton of value as a free-to-play player, right? And so I want to rewrite that narrative, and they can peek over the fence and grow the pie, right? We want to bring more people to blockchain. We don't want to like ostracize them and like, oh, like Like, no, if you love this game, there's just so many ways to interact with it. This is not smoke and mirrors. Like, I agree with what you said. Like, this idea of Web 2.5 is all throughout the game design. That's why we have mods. That's why we have two types of ships. We have ship parity. We have mod parity. Like, we had to design this from the ground up to make sure that we were always balancing both sides, and there was never going to be a player penalty for being on one side or the other.
Yeah, so you're saying this, like, so like these free to play players, like, you have like the players who are playing on chain and interacting and spending money on ships and mods and like the pilot licenses, which we'll touch on here, to allow them to create user generated content and levels for everybody to play in. I'm sorry if I just dropped that like before you wanted to talk about it, but
that's right. No, it's
so these free to play players, they will add to that experience. So like, say you have like your team, your co-op, and you're going on like a mission, a run, if you will, and you've got like a free to play guy on your team, and he's just like awesome, right? And so you're like, dude, play with me over here. He's making it so you're winning, and you're getting more like assets that you can make money from. So you're going to be like, come on, dude, keep playing with me on this next level. You guys win again. You get a ton of money. That guy's just having the time of his life, like playing the game. And then you're just like, all right, come play another one with me, right? So like, you really want to get those really skilled free-to-play players
which are out there, right? And they've been playing other shooters, right? There are plenty of other games that the skill set adapts into our game, right? Plenty of other shooters. So there are a ton of free-to-play players who are very good at this that you're going to want in that PvE co-op to like make your team better. And then this is just the critical part is like, if you have bought our NFTs, right? If you are a holder of a chain ship, maybe you have a chain legendary, right? All of those free-to-play players are your audience, right? Hopefully we're going to take a portion of those players and convert them, and they're going to be looking for chain assets, right? They missed out on those drops. They missed out on that legendary, right? And so like, the more we convert people, it's just a bigger pool of people coming into the blockchain side of things, which just means great. That's a healthy marketplace. That's a healthy token. We're funding money into the treasury that is in USD, so we don't have to sell our token. In fact, we're buying our own token back, driving up the value. All of those are really, really positive blockchain mechanics that don't touch the core gameplay at all. It's in my opinion, it's the recipe for how to launch a traditional game on blockchain.
So those free-to-play players, they'll be playing and they won't get on-chain assets like
correct,
like the USD or USDC. I forget which one you're using. You said USDC.
STFU. So interestingly, we have one cool thing where we're trying to pull free-to players along, right? So free-to-play players will get script, which is our in-game currencies, just like any other free-to-play game, right? And they'll get some resources, the recipe components to make the mods, right? They'll get that stuff. We do give them something called unstable Thorite. So Nano is one of our chain resources, and Thorite's the other chain resources. And Nano is our fabrication resource, where to create things, you use Nano. And to fuel things, we use Thorite. So Thorite's our fuel. And so you pay a little bit of Thorite to participate in these asteroid runs, and play-to-earn players accrue Thorite. That's what they gain on a regular basis, so they can keep doing the asteroid runs. If we didn't have that gate, right, we would just exhaust the treasury right away. People would just go into these asteroid runs all the time, and you would be emitting far too many rewards, right? So there has to be very thoughtful gates. But free-to-play players can actually earn something called unstable Thorite. And what that means is that if they convert over to a blockchain player, we've allocated that Thorite for them. It's just not available until they convert to a blockchain player. So there is an incentive for them. They've earned this kind of like pseudo reward. It's not on chain, but it's this other reward that is an allocation that they can then claim when they move over. You want to talk about the pilot's license?
Interesting, man. That was something right there. Like
dive.
that was a deep dive. So the free to play players, they will earn script, and they can also
get experience, resources to craft.
So they'll get unstable resources, and they'll be able to
off-chain
to craft with those for to modify and upgrade the tech tree for their corporate
Yep.
ships. The corporate
Yep.
ships are off chain.
Yep.
They're like database, like you're like a standard game, traditional
Yep.
video game assets that are not monetized on chain, but they still have value systems where they can grind out stuff, upgrade their things, get in-game benefits like better damage
Yeah.
or armor or
Yep.
harvesting abilities to increase their gameplay experience. But
Yep.
you want to be a space cowboy, as it says here. You
Own your own ship. Yeah.
you yeah, so you don't want to be working for the man anymore. You don't want to be, grinding out, getting all this script and all these materials for the man. You want to do your own thing, right? So you start your own company, you start your own enterprise, and
Yeah.
you get a chain ship. And now you're running your own business out here in
Yeah.
the STFU universe. So you got a chain ship. Now all of a sudden your raw materials are stable and you can
Expanded. Yeah.
exchange them for real value in
Exactly.
terms of stuff in your wallet. Now,
Isn't that the spirit of blockchain, right? Like the spirit of blockchain, sort of decentralized, and you control your own destiny.
absolutely, it's very entrepreneurial, and that's why I love this space. I see people forging their own destinies from every corner of the world every single day, and
Yeah.
and everybody loves games. I mean, most people love games, I should say, but like so many people, I think, are going to try to be a space cowboy out here, and like it's great that you have the free to play model so that way they can all participate, play the same game, have like the same experiences. But at the end of the day, these chain ships, these space cowboys as you call them, they're going to be pocketing cash
Yeah.
at the end of the day
Exactly. Yep.
from their activities. So
Yep.
they're going to be making money. Now, if you're free to play and you stack up unstable materials like thorite and iron and nano, when you go and buy a chain ship, does your unstable stuff become stable?
There's a mechanic for that. We're still working that out because we have to allocate that out of the pool, right? We're holding that. So effectively, think of it as an expiring bonus that gradually decreases over time. We put that back in the treasury, right? But if you convert over, right, and you do get a chain ship, then you can start collecting that reserve that you had in the tank, right? So it's kind of it's held there, but it expires and goes away. A little bit of time pressure to maybe go to the marketplace, find an NFT ship, it's just a little extra incentive. Hey, look, if they don't want it, it's nothing venture, nothing gain, right? They don't, it's not going to hurt them in the gameplay experience, but it's just a little bit of it's incentive. Like they did the work for it. Frankly, if they had a chain ship, they would have earned it anyway. We just try to hold a little bit of it in reserve, not the full amount, but just the last mission they did, a little bit in reserve that expires after a little bit.
So that's man, you're
conversion.
You're great at coming up with mechanics for games and these models. I'm not saying that to like flatter you or whatever. Like I mean that this is an interesting concept. So these free to play players will gather these unstable resources, and what you're currently thinking of how to transfer those over if they go and get a chain ship and get into the pay to play or the play to earn model.
Yeah, play to earn,
they have a decay rate. So I get all this unstable thorite, and I'm big balling on the free to play side of things with my corporate ship. The corporation, the universal multi corporations, they love me. They because I'm making them so much money, and I'm sitting here like, man, I wish I could just take all this unstable thorite and sell it, or iron, or what have you. And I'm seeing it every day, a little bit decays as the corporation, the man, takes it and sells it and does. They're taking my hard work. I worked hard for that, and it incentivizes me. I say, oh man, I want to get a chain ship, so I buy a chain ship, and in order to increase the sustainability from these conversions, because if there's a free to play player who is just stacking and they're playing 23 hours a day and they're awesome at this game and they're just like stacking up and they switch to a chain ship, all of a sudden they're trying to drain that treasury reserve, but you're going to have like a vesting period where those unstable assets they become stable assets that they can then sell for real monetary value, but in like a vesting period, so that way they don't just like hit the system super
Yeah.
hard when they convert over with all their freely earned materials. Did I get
Yeah.
that right?
You nailed it. We've spent a lot of time on that algorithm, balancing it out, right? Because we are very conscious. We have a limited amount of the treasury, right? We still have tons and tons of tokens there, but it's a limited quantity, right? So you can't emit all of those at once, like you said. So
Yeah.
the decay rate is meant to balance out and look pretty equal to like a player doing a match and winning things, right? You're not going to fill the bank with unstable thorite, right? So if we scroll all the way back up, you've been scrolling through this. This is happening. It's happening now, right? Virtually now, Friday. We're going to do our first NFT drop, and like all things, we always want parity, right? So we want that free to play chain parity. So our founders sale starts Friday. And what we came up with was the pilot's license, right? Like everybody has a license to drive a car if they're a driver. So September 9th is our first sale. We're going to be offering free to play players their version of a pilot's license, right? Again, Web 2.5, we always want kind of hand in hand. Okay, the pilot's license on the free to play side is just, it works like a battle pass. You prepay, you've got this kind of pass basically that enables you to earn rewards that you couldn't get if you didn't have the pass, right? So it's a pretty common element in free to play where you basically have this pass that gives you rewards. So if you scroll down on the pilot's license, on the founder sale right here, that first one is the free to play pilot's license,
Okay.
right? We'll call it the corporate license, right? So that's your pass. It comes with
your corporation employee badge. That your
exactly,
RFID, you scan it
right
at the door and you go in and you're the cog in the machine.
Yeah. So the cool part is, look, we know that during our marketing, we're going to hit free to play players. And we may even there may be someone watching this video that isn't quite comfortable with blockchain mechanics yet, right? This video is going to reach gamers and blockchain people alike. And they may be saying, hey, on Friday, what's in it for me? I'm not super comfortable with blockchain yet. Here's something they can buy. It is a straight up free to play purchase, right? It's being sold at a discount on Friday. In fact, everything we're selling limited quantities, but everything's being sold on Friday at a 50% off discount, which is a little bonkers. I'll explain why. But what this is going to do is it's going to emit free to play items, Corp items, right? So if you have the script kind of corporate license, you're going to get corporate preset ships. You're going to get corporate legendary ships as part of this, right? This is a fantastic way to get in it. Those 5 legendaries, just those alone make this a no-brainer. Like you like the value on those 5 legendaries, having to rent them and try to win them, and the time it takes is a no-brainer. Obviously, we've already established like you can't sell these. Right? They're going to stay on your account. You're going to have them. They're great. They're fun to play with, and they're perfect for a free-to-play player, right? But they're not chain assets, right? So, all right. So let's keep going. So we have 3
So this is
tiers.
like the traditional,
traditional
early access pass
early
to
access.
a game.
That's exactly what it is. Exactly.
So like,
With any of these pilot's license, you also get access to the dev diaries. We're going to do weekly updates. We're going to show you how the sausage is made. That roadmap we showed you, that's like the dev team's already broken all that down into weekly sprints, so you can see and track in real-time progress how we're getting there. Like we want to unwrite that narrative of Web3 games that never ship or run out of money, or it's like here it is, that's all set, it's all locked and loaded. This is the schedule. Dude, and you can watch video.
Are you gonna make your sprints in Jira like public?
we don't use Jira, but we do use a competitive product to that. Yeah, no, absolutely. We're gonna share a variation of what is in every sprint and show video of us playing it. I mean, that's exciting. Like, hey, this week we're doing, like for instance, I just saw the latest version of the Asteroid Run creation kit, that level designer, right? So they're iterating on that all throughout development, and certain milestones have, or certain sprints have, here's the latest version 0.8 of the Asteroid Run level editor, things like that. You get to see it first there. So all the license, including the free-to-play license, get access to see how this stuff gets made with, and we showed that Gladius, right? So you're guaranteed to get a free-to-play version of the Gladius when that comes out. So we drop ship, you airship those assets to you. So that's the free-to-play version. But cool. Your community are blockchain players, so let's show them what they can get. I think we've spent a lot of time on this interview talking about the game, and the reason we did that was to kind of show the value of what we're selling on Friday. I think it's critical to understand the game and it's the mods and the ships and how they work, so you can see the actual utility of what a pilot license gets for you. We've even gone so far as up, I think on Medium, we have a breakdown here that shows here is the value of what you're getting rolled up into your iron tier. So here's the first pilot's license. It's the iron tier. It's our lowest priced pilot's license. And the estimated worth of all the airdrops, you get 5 legendary ships. So those are going to be chain legendaries. You get 5 chain presets, 5 cosmetic mods, and 5 performance mods. Plus, you get an actual small STFU airdrop once we launch that token towards the end of the year. So there's a ton rolled up into this, but the actual estimated value is like $1,500 of stuff, right? When we talk about how much those legendaries are to buy in the drops, how much the presets are to buy in the drops. And on Friday, we're taking a limited quantity. We're not selling all of them. We have a total of, I think, 5,000 of these in supply. We're only selling 1,500 of these on Friday. So we're taking a portion of these because we're discounting them 50%. So for $150, you get $1,500 worth of value. Now, if you buy this, it is an NFT. It is a chain asset. You can immediately just wait till the sale's over, hold it, and once we've completed the full drop, once we drop the rest of the inventory, you can actually sell this, right? And it's fine because this NFT will emit airdrops for the rest of these ongoing, right? So there's about 6 months worth of airdrops contained in this first kind of lowest priced iron pilot's license. So that's kind of the starting point for chain players. They can get in. It is a 90% discount.
Yeah, there's multiple layers to that in terms of potential to make money. So
right.
what I've heard is you get a 50% early community discount. So it's like $150 for this iron pilot license. And over the next 3 to 6 months, it gives you airdrops that will be worth about $1,500 in game assets that you can trade and sell actively.
Or use or keep, right? Yeah, keep the ones you want and play with those and earn rewards with playing and then sell the stuff you don't want, right? So it's pretty crazy.
And this license itself that airdrops these things over the next 3 to 6 months is also tradable and sellable.
Yeah.
So if you paid $150, you got in early, but like a month or two in, everybody wishes they would have bought this. You could then, if you want to get like some liquidity back immediately, you could basically sell it. You bought it for $150. You say you sell it for like $400 or $500 or something.
Right.
Somebody else says, "Oh, that's a great deal. This thing's going to be worth a fortune." They buy it 2 months in. You get your $500. You lose out on the potential appreciation over time or getting all of the $1,500 worth of assets that get airdropped. So there's like this marketplace, and there's like multiple marketable assets here.
Exactly.
So super cool, man.
Bear in mind, like one of the cool parts is you don't have to go compete in the drop, right? So, once we go to drop those ships ongoing, right? So that first legendary, the Gladius, right? Once that comes out and it goes up on the drop, like people are going to be up there like, okay, cool. We're competing to get that, right? Quantity runs out. You don't have to. Yours is going to get airdropped to you. You don't have to worry about it, right? You're just going to get your ship and you can hold on to that ship for a couple months, wait to see what the market value is on that. And then you're not even selling it for what the value is at the drop. But we're telling you the estimated worth of the airdrop is the value at the drop, right? Not the secondary value. So I agree. I think there's a lot of fun to be had here. I hope players will, keep some of them and play with them because I think some of these are going to be amazing ships to play with. Remember, we have 5 rules, right? Assault, defense, hauler, engineer. You get one of each. In fact, you get 1 legendary of each and you get 1 preset of each. So you're going to get the full, even just with the iron tier, you're going to get the full game experience and you'll have kind of 1 of each ship role to play with when the game goes live.
Okay, that's great. So if you're forming parties and you want to be the healer or the harvester or the soldier or the tank or the whatever, like you've got these different kind of classes. And if you get in early with this, you get not only the preset of each on-chain version, but you also get the legendary, super unique, limited supply versions as well, which then you can, do what you will, whether play with them or if like, say you love playing as like the engineer, right? And that's like your thing. That's all you play. You're always playing that, or like whatever is your thing. You can sell the rest of the legendary ones. If you never use them, then you could just kind of speculate on them, sell them, whatever, get your money back or make a profit off of them and keep playing with your your favorite
Yeah.
ship of the
Yeah.
bunch.
Exactly. That's my
So many ways
right.
to slice and dice this thing.
All right, so let's talk about the next one. So
Yeah.
thorite, as I mentioned in our lore, right? In our lore, thorite's the fuel. It's a chain resource that you accrue, and we use that to do asteroid runs. So our thorite tier, a little better than the iron tier. It's also a little more expensive. The thorite tier will be on sale for 350 on Friday. So there's only 300 of these available. There's only 1,700 period, but 300 will go up on Friday. This thing is also wildly cool. It has double the rewards of the iron. So it's got 10 preset ship, 10 cosmetics. These are all chain assets, right? But in addition to that, you get one piece of land. So you get a small asteroid run. So the day that level editor launches, right, in December, Thorite pilot holders, they don't have to compete with any of the land drops. They immediately can go in and start building out a piece of land and putting their level together and then submitting it, and boom, they're in early, right? So people playing and going into that play to earn mechanic, right? The create to earn rewards, like you're first in. You've got one of these smaller asteroid runs. You get to kind of like immediately start benefiting from that. It also has a medium sized, not insignificant sized STFU airdrop. So when the token launches, you also get a pretty decent amount of STFU for having this pass in your wallet when we drop, when the STFU launch happens. So this thing, I love it. This is basically a 12-month kind of pass. We'll be releasing, you get basically 2 of every role, right? Two presets of every role, 2 legendaries of every role. So you get a lot of diversity there. And then, man, that small asteroid, like the small asteroid itself is probably worth more than the pass itself is worth. Like that alone is just huge to be able to play with the level designer and jump into the core mechanics. That's why we like this particular pass. So it's only 300 of those. If that's something you're interested in, we are whitelisting, by the way, for this drop on the website, playstfu.com. That's where you're going to want to go if you're interested.
Oh god, there's just so much to unpack here, and you got to tell the person that you have the meeting with after this. Sorry for being so late. This random YouTuber named YaBonks wouldn't let you go, so I just got. I want you to really talk about the user generated content here, because like of all the stuff, like we had to really lay the groundwork before we could even get to that. That might be, in my opinion, the coolest mechanic of this entire game universe you're building here. The small asteroid runs, the metaverse land, the level editor. You're basically saying here, if you have this license, this pass to build out on this land, then you can create your own asteroid runs, your own levels, and you can make it as hard so you can make it super hard for people. And okay, I will let you explain it, because we've talked about this already. I want you to tell people how does this work, and how does a user creating this content, how can they make money off this too? So
So this is an evolution of play to earn, right? Which I think is a really great expression of blockchain. Play to earn. You know, I'm playing a game, I get good at it, and then I'm able to win real money, right? Like real assets, right? So create to earn is a spin on that, and that is literally rewarding creators that make content that is fun, right? Content that drives the success of my game. You're helping me build my game for me by basically supplying unlimited content. That is an amazing flywheel to create. Is like, I want the best level designers out there to come play my game, buy land, and make levels, because then my players get to play it. And so rewarding them with a portion of our revenue, these play to earn rewards that get paid to a creator are create to earn rewards. So they're paid out of the treasury. We have an allocation for that. We have that whole Web 2.5 model, which is taking USDC in our treasury, buying our token back just to pay these rewards. But getting user generated content, it's something we believe in as a company. If you look at APB, again, we have some of the best content creation tools on the planet in APB. This is an area where we're doubling down. You know, we talked about Roblox, we talked about Minecraft. Like, if Roblox were chain based, right, they could be paying those creators in real time a percentage of their revenue, and that is what blockchain is all about for me. So I love asteroid runs. The ideation on asteroid runs came after we took over the game. You know, we really looked at that PvE co-op experience, and through development, we had never quite gotten there in the past. And we looked at that and we said, man, we got to blow that out. Like that, to me, there is entire games like Warframe that's all it is PvE co-op, playing with your buddy, doing a team, doing a mission, right? And so layering UGC on top of that, which we're going to be showing off to the people to get these licenses in our dev diaries every week, is huge. And that will launch. It is one of our big KSPs, or key selling points, in December when we launch this game, is having the multiplayer piece in there, having the PvP co-op. It's just super important to me. So land is you mentioned it. Metaverse land is tough. You hear it now and you're like, okay, what makes this special? Like, you're decorating something. It's a room, maybe you're collecting. Like, what is Metaverse land? This is Metaverse land with utility, right? It's gameplay. You're making gameplay.
But I just bought Metaverse land that is adjacent to Snoop Dogg's. I'm neighbors with Snoop Dogg now, so my Metaverse land is appreciated 5,000% overnight. And then at the end of the day, it's like, wait, that means nothing. Right. There's no mechanic behind it, right? So like this though is. Man, okay, so I don't know if you ever played the game Second Life, but back when Second Life like first launched, back in like the early Linden dollars, man, back in the early 2000s, I was buying Linden dollars. They had like a economy with like $1 billion worth in it, and I was using my credit card and my bank account to like buy Linden dollars, go participate in the Second Life economy. I would buy like a plot of land, build it out, and then I would like try to start in-game businesses, trying to like sell people like things I would make. I was an elevator salesman. I scripted and modeled an elevator, and I was trying to sell it to people. Dude, high school was a crazy time for me. Anyway,
I love it. And Second Life, man, you're old school.
Oh yeah, dude, and this is interesting because what it means is for the people who don't have the fastest reaction time. Maybe playing a super fast-paced game like this is stressful for them, but they still want to play, they still want to participate, and they still want to make money. Playing a game or participating in a game universe, what they can do is they could get one of these asteroid runs. They could get the right to build out an asteroid run on a piece of metaverse land in this game, and they can basically, like you were explaining it to me, set up almost like a tower defense style level or asteroid run. The other players can play co-op trying to beat your level that you created, and then if you beat them, you get a share of that revenue. And if they beat you, they get, revenue from the game. Right? Exactly. And so if you're not a fast paced shoot 'em up style gamer, if you're more of like a slow, meticulous like game like designer, like a Minecraft builder type person, you could just build this like asteroid run, set up your little tower defense game, and constantly modify it, improve upon it. And you could just take all the time in the world doing slow, meticulous building and make money that way through this game. And like you were saying, they're generating content for you. You're sharing revenue with them. And I think that's such a cool concept, man.
We've built in all of that is super fun. We had to really think this through, right? And so one of the aspects is, as a designer, right, there's one requirement to be able to publish it, and that is you have to beat your own level 3 times, right? So you can't create some degenerate level that can't be beat, right? You can't hide all the resources, right?
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
So you have to run the gauntlet. You have to bring in 2 people with you, and you have to beat your level. You could bring in 2 ringers, right? Bring in some amazing free-to-play players, right, to help you beat your own level. But it has to be beatable. You have to beat your level 3 times in order to publish it, and then it goes into the rotation of then it's in the player rotation. So super. I mean, again, like I start numbering off the innovations that I feel are just exciting about this game, areas where we got to kind of push the envelope a little bit. Web 2.5, asteroid run land, right? With this sort of ability to buy our own token back. Like, there's some really innovative stuff here. It's really fun.
Matt, this is super cool. I wish we could just talk forever about this. So
we got one more. We got the Nano Tier. So the third one, we'll talk about that just really quickly. Nano, as I mentioned in the lore, it's the thing you fabricate. 25 of these puppies. There's not very many of them. We have 150 total. You got your thrustmaster. You're ready.
I'm ready, man. Pow, 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 pow.
Like 25 of these will go on sale on Friday. They're a bit pricey. They are the most expensive thing we're selling. With the discount, they're about $1,000. They include 20 preset ships, 20 legendaries, a large asteroid run, which means it's much larger than the smaller one. You got more to decorate and to design out there, and a large STFU airdrop. I will say this: the STFU airdrop in tokens is half the purchase price if you get it on Friday. So half of it will come back to you in STFU. Like, I expect these will go very fast. At the bottom of this article, I think we break it all down in terms of what you're getting and how, what the value is. So we actually tell you what the prices of these things are going to be when they launch independently, what the price of a legendary will be, what the price of a mod will be. We don't want any surprises. People can see what our game economy looks like. But that's a pilot's license.
Man, like it says here, estimated worth of the airdrops, almost $12,000. And
Yeah.
so like, as a DeFi degenerate, a speculator of digital wares, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, man, it might be like I'm sitting here thinking I'm gonna potentially YOLO $1,000 at this thing, and then like at least get my initial back by selling off some of the assets, and then like just being a speculator, like I would, even if I am too busy to even play this game, I would just like consider sitting on these things, and then like the people that fall in love with this game.
And day one, right? You've got an asteroid run to start building out, or sell to someone who wants to build it out day one, right? You get that. It's this is our chart here where we map it all out. We tell you exactly what the drop prices will be. We're not going to participate in the secondary market, right? When we sell a preset chain ship, they're $60. There's limited quantity. We sell them, they drop. You get them. When we sell a limited quantity legendary, $200, that's it. Like we're telling you now what these prices are going to be for chain assets, right? So you can do the math on the pilot's license and make a decision. If you look at those STFU airdrops, right? $500 airdrop for STFU on that Nano license literally means you're spending $1,000, you're getting $500 back, and you get all the other stuff. It's bonkers. That one I expect to go very fast. There's only 25 of them, so I expect it to go very fast. But it's fun. I obviously I'm passionate.
So how about hooking up your old buddy YaBonks here with one of them?
You're like,
yeah. How about let me know exactly the time down to the second when that's starting?
Yeah.
Just kidding, people. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna compete for one of these probably. I'm actually thinking about it. I mean, this is crazy because if you're like, say your next legendary chain ship minting, right?
Right.
Say you're selling them each for $200, but I've got 20 of them. I paid $1,000. What if I just like front run you and I sell mine for $180 on the secondary marketplace?
Right.
Like people are going to buy those up first.
Right. That's why there's very limited quantity of these, right? Like we're not doing a whole lot of these. There's only 150 total, period. 150 total. So look, I hope the people that get this have a lot of fun with it.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably going to compete for one of these. So to any of my viewers who are watching this, who are thinking about this, like you're probably going to be out there bidding against me. I'm going to throw $1,000 at this thing just to. My wife's gonna kill me, but like, she does not explain. She's like, NFTs aren't real, but this is like the most utility NFT I've seen yet, right? Everybody's like, we've got utility NFTs because they emit rewards every whatever, but like this is like so much utility, like
2 years of rewards. By the way, this will emit stuff. So, I mean, literally get a year in and you could just decide, you know what, I'm going to sell off the Nano pilot's license. It still has 10 preset ships and 10 legendary ships on it. Like, it's not even something you would even need to hang on to full time there. Once it emits the asteroid run, you could sell it off. So I know we've already gone for quite a while. There were a couple other topics I know you wanted to talk about. I think we covered the game, the ships, the pilot's license is more.
I just want to talk about risk real quick.
Risk.
I just want to talk about risk. So as a trying to be a responsible influencer out here in the DeFi world, like I realize people move money based on things I do, things I say, and the projects I represent here. And I want to make sure I give them an accurate picture of their risk profiles, the risk vectors. So we've covered the reward aspect of the risk reward ratio of this potential play here, this game. I call these things plays, projects, whatever, but like this is a legit game. So first off, are your smart contracts audited, or are they going to be audited by anybody? Yeah,
they have to be. Yes, absolutely. Same thing with 100 Days. So 100 Days is helping us with that. They got all their smart contracts audited. They're helping out with some engineering there, along with the marketing for this first big NFT drop, and we're using their marketplace. But yeah, no, the smart contracts have to be audited.
Do you know who's audited those? Who's doing the auditing?
I don't, not off the top of my head. Okay. I don't.
All right, and
I know it's pretty expensive. It's not cheap. We had to set aside some budget for it.
If it's somebody if it's from 100 days, if it's the same person, they got audits here from Certic. So if they're doing Certic audits. So those are top of the line. That's that's like the gold standard of audits. So that's good to know. I'm glad you're, for something as big and as much time and money, like you've been working on this for 7+ years, I think. And I think like millions of dollars in development, if I'm not mistaken.
That is accurate. Yeah, that is accurate. Then now is not the time to skimp out on the audits.
Absolutely. So, all right, good to know. And then you're a fully registered company. Little Orbit's fully registered. We're fully
a C Corp out of Delaware. Yeah, no, we, and like I said, a lot of people focus on the development, right? So we have a full staff of customer support, QA, live ops, marketing. I think I mentioned our head of marketing came from Amazon. And so a couple people have asked, like risk, when you talked about risk, is the game going to get a good launch? Are we going to spend on marketing? Absolutely. We have millions of dollars invested in this. We're not just going to chuck this out there. We're copying some of the playbook that he used when they launched New World and Lost Ark. That's absolutely on the traditional side, right? On the blockchain side, we're partnered with 100 Days, and we'll be doing some other partnerships to drive the awareness on the blockchain side of it. Really with risk, anytime you have an online game, right? You also look at anti-cheat. So we're using Epic anti-cheat, AAC. It's the gold standard out there for anti-cheat. We have another server-side anti-cheat that we're using as well. We have DDoS protection. We do all of our hosting and co-location with AAA providers, and so we'll continue to do that. We do that with an APB today with anti-DDoS and other things, right? So continue to do that for this. So I think from a game uptime and stability perspective, right, those are always risks you want to identify. We have our own patching and our own support in terms of gamers first. So we're just, I would say one of the other risks was us coming up short on some of the back end technology, right? But we have a lot of that already built in terms of doing authentication and patching and distribution of the game ourselves. And all we're adding is the wallet support to be able to support some of the blockchain transactions in our own website. I'm trying to think of some of the other risks. Legal risk, I think maybe is one that comes to mind.
The legal risks?
Yeah.
So, okay, dude, you answered I had a whole list of security questions, man. You were just you answered everything before I could even ask it. So I'm glad you're so on top of your stuff. Yeah, so the legal risk. I as I was doing research about you and your company, Little Orbit, and the history of this game, I try to do due diligence before I represent anything on my platform, right? So I found that there was a legal battle of some kind that went on with Little Orbit and the development of this game. Do you want to explain from your side of things what that was about, what happened, and how that might and could that potentially affect participants in this game?
Yeah. So I'll cut to the chase. There's no way that can affect the participation in the game. There's no way we would even consider launching a game that had any legal issues associated to. So cool. All of that's been resolved with the developer. We are in 100% control of the game. We own the IP. We own all of the components of 100%. There's literally nobody else participating in that. This just gives us the freedom to do what we need to do for the health and the best for the game. But with respect to that, this game does have history. And that history has been frustrating for us at times. Like I said, we put millions into this. This game started off as a Kickstarter. So I want to talk right to those Kickstarter backers, right? They have, it was Kickstarted back in 2015. And for those guys, you're going to get the game you paid for. It's super important to me, right? Having that free to play piece of it and having them be able to get in and play the game with single player, with the PvP co-op or PvE co-op, the PvP, everything they bought into, they're going to get. On top of that, we're actually going out of our way to hold aside some of the quantity for these tiers, these pilot license, and we're going to be offering one of them if you backed at $80 or more, right? You've sat there for 7 years waiting for your game. That was unavoidable. Like, we really worked hard to have that not happen, right? We are in the situation we're in. We're going to give them each one pilot's license if you backed at $80 or more, depending on how much they backed, right? So we take it seriously. Like, so my hope is that the Kickstarter backers who originally backed this, that made this game possible, are one, they're going to be excited about the game they're getting. It's everything they backed. And two, they get a bonus, right? If they want it, and they don't have to, right? But if they want it, they get something worth real money, far more valuable than what they actually spent to back the game. So I'm hoping, that's going to be a win-win for them. Obviously they had to wait a little longer than they planned. So talking through the litigation, it took some time there. There were some problems in development that, we disagreed with the developer back and forth. I'm sure they had some mutual complaints. We tried to resolve it amicably. It didn't work. Sometimes you have to go to the court system and go through litigation. It's not a fun process, and it's certainly not anything I would wish on anybody. And there were days where I was just like, I just want to release the game, and we couldn't, right? We went through all that pain and suffering. It's all settled, literally, completely done. The good news is we sort of took, what I'm going to call lemons, our sort of challenging experience, right? And in, late 2020 is when we got all the rights. Late 2020, we got all the rights. We spent all of 2021 developing and finishing a game. And in late 2021, we were ready to launch this, literally at the doorstep of launching a full completed free-to-play game. And I put the brakes on. We had started to see some really interesting GameFi activity, stuff happening in blockchain. And we had hired a full-time blockchain designer to help us explore, create to earn, play to earn, elements. And we started talking about what this game wants to be, right? Through the process of all that litigation, unfortunately, we lost access to the Descent license. Interplay terminated, pulled that back. So we couldn't get that name. So we had to rename it. The Easter egg here is that Ships That Fight Underground was the code name that the original Parallax developer used in development. It's like their internal name for the game before they named it Descent. So it's just sort of an anecdotal.
I didn't know
that's
that.
why we went with the name. It just has deep roots way back in this genre, right? And so now,
like 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Literally when they were making the game, right? And so, we were very thoughtful, right? In as of the end of last year, we started saying, okay, what does this game want to be? Where could we really let the reins out? We knew we weren't going to be working with the Descent name, so it could be anything it wanted to be at that point. There were no tethers on it. And that's when we started innovating the ideas of adding create to earn, adding asteroid runs. Asteroid runs was something we wanted, that co-op mode. We never quite got it during development. And so we took the time over, what's going on now, 9 months since we finished the game, to build all that out and flesh out the design and how some of the mod systems worked. We borrowed a little bit from APB, stuff that we know and love over there in the shooter mechanics. So it has had a challenging history there, but I think in a weird way, it put us in this prime position to have a finished game at a point in history where we've got the technology now to do something completely different with it, blockchain.
So that's a crazy story, and history. I mean, this will go down in like game development history, like 20 years from now, or like 30 years from now. Like, we're talking about Descent back then. People might be talking about STFU in 30 years, and then like, and that came all the way back from Descent, like in the 1990s.
Yeah, and Overload and all these, other games. Yeah, there's plenty of games in this genre.
And I think it's, I love this, man. I'm going to take a day off at some point in my life, and I'm going to like play video games for like the whole day. I haven't done that in like years, but like, man, this feels good. And this might be the perfect excuse to do this. And I'll tell my wife, look, I'm working here as I'm like going through asteroid runs. I'm making money. I'm working here. Yeah. So, I think it's really cool that you are going out of your way this much later, after there's no strings attached legally anymore, to look out for the initial backers of, was it called Descent Underground?
That was the original name. Descent
That was the original name. So all these like Descent fans and these people who love the idea of like bringing it back, when that was going on, the Kickstarters, the Kickstarter participants, they put in like 80 people, so they put in like however many dollars they could
Right. Right.
crowdfund,
Right.
and you're looking out for them at like 7 years later. So you're going out of your way. A lot of them probably forgot, but I'm sure there are still some people who are just like, I wonder if that thing will ever happen. And you're gonna say, hey, it's happening. Here you guys go. This
Yeah.
thing's
Yeah.
gonna be huge, and they're gonna get a pilot's license that they might be able to sell for much more than what they initially put in the Kickstarter, and they're going to have access to all this stuff. So I think that's really cool that you're going out of your way to like the people who really were passionate about dissent and all that stuff. You're hooking them up still, and
Yeah.
it's like, hey, it's back,
Right.
and it's bigger than ever.
And we hope. Look, a lot of them are free to play players, right? They're maybe they're not familiar with blockchain. Maybe they are that traditional gamer that hates the term NFT, right? I get that, right? I get that. And so for us, it's all about, hey, we want you to get the game that you pay for. That's part of that Web 2.5 strategy, really, right? Like, we're not taking that experience away from you in any way, shape, or form. And that gives us the ability to go to Steam. Steam does not publish blockchain games, right? So having that sort of walled off free to play experience, like, here you go, like that's extra marketing, extra folks for us to come play the game, and those Kickstarter folks can still enjoy that without having to be forced into blockchain, right? That's not what they backed, right? I get that. I don't want to force anybody to do anything they don't want to. They may have strong feelings there, and that's totally understandable. Blockchain, we're really doing it to pay the people that make our game better, the creators, right? And to offer this sort of play to earn mechanic that I think is really cool.
I love it, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I tell my audience and my longtime viewers know, like, I don't pump, I don't do stuff like that. I'm not like the moon boy who's just like, this thing's going to the moon, 100x,
right.
blah blah blah. Like, if I like something, I will say I like it. If I don't like something, I will say I don't like it. And I love this, and I, as a lifelong Descent fan who loves 6 Degree of Freedom flying games, this is so cool that like 100 Days reached out to me, and like you basically just fell into my lap, and I'm just like, oh, this is amazing. Like, and apologize to your next meeting for
we
me,
run
but
long. That's right.
man,
That's
like,
right.
it's like DeFi, my whole DeFi business and world and everything I'm doing there, my communities has like crossed over now with like one of my favorite games as a child that is being reborn in like grand spectacular fashion in a way that like I could make money off of too on top of it. It's just like, it seems like too good to be true. Like, wake me up, I'm dreaming right now, but like I'm going to talk to my wife, and I'm going to convince her to let me YOLO $1,000 of our hard-earned budget into this on a bet that I could potentially sell this, because I know how popular Descent is. I know how popular APB is and some of your other games. And I know that you guys are the real deal. Like, you have put millions of dollars into developing this game. I know you're not just going to quit.
No.
I know you're not going to stop. So I see this game probably having a lifespan of 5+ years at least. Like, games have like, I mean, but theoretically,
APB's been around more than 10. So
that's what I'm saying. It could be 10
hope it's
years.
a long, we hope, right? We hope. And by the way, I'll add, all the money we put in was our hard-earned money. We did not get any of the Kickstarter money. We didn't get any of the early access money. Like, the original developer got that money. And so like, our investment is our investment. We haven't released a token to fund this. We haven't sold NFTs to fund it. Like, the entire game was our hard-earned cash. And so, we it's a big deal. It's a big deal for us.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share this with my community, because they might, not all of them might be gamers, but I know a lot are. And I think this is just a brilliant crossover in the whole Web3 world with AAA gaming, that I think you could be one of the first movers to do it right. I mean, I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to do things, but I feel like this is going to be really, really cool. And I'm probably going to try to speculate on this as a digital asset gambler out here. I'll probably, because a lot of the NFTs out here, if they're just art-based NFTs, like, you have no idea if it's going to sell. And a lot of times you're like, is this just like money laundering? Like, what is going on with like, like a picture of a monkey and you're selling it for $1 million? Doesn't even make sense. But like, this is a utility-based thing. Like, if you're a gamer and you love 6 Degree of Freedom games, and there are hardcore people, if you've been in this gaming sphere for a while, like I have,
Yeah.
people spend fortunes. I mean, they
Yeah.
they spend tens of thousands of dollars on these crazy gaming systems with like these chairs and like all the stuff, like the foot pedals and everything, and they've got like the curved monitors, and they spend like no joke, tens of thousands of dollars on in-game assets on some of these other space 6 Degree of Freedom flying games. And now this is like integrated on the blockchain where you can pull those funds off instead of just like buying this thing from the company. You can actually buy it from other players, and you have these like secondary marketplaces. That's one. Decentralized finance is so cool. Anyway, this is awesome, Matt. I know you got to get going. I don't want this to be. I know it's a 2-hour long AMA, but like this AMA is probably going to be like the de facto information center for this stage of the game right now. I appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, and I'm going to blast this out in like hundreds of different Discord and Telegram servers, and I'll probably go find a bunch of gaming communities that I used to lurk in, and I'm just going to blast this in there. But guys, you got to check this out. I have a feeling this video is probably going to get more views than anything I've ever done before. So I think it's a cool opportunity for both of us. It's awesome what you're doing. All your hard work, your money, everything you've put up to make this happen. I think it's super cool, man. And I wish you the most success. And if anybody wants to find you and participate in this, because I'm going to be doing this, I know where to find you. Where can people find you, Matt?
All right. Number one place is playstfu.com. They can whitelist for the NFT drop that's coming up soon. They can access the white paper from there. They can access the Medium articles. The Medium articles are also under the user Play STFU, so pretty straightforward there. There's 4 Medium articles up there today. You got to world premiere some of the legendary stuff with the Gladius looks like that has not been released publicly, so that's cool. But that'll be in an article maybe tomorrow on Medium, so people can go check that out. And we've got a Discord set up specifically for this. We're also we have a channel on the 100 Days Discord, so you can find our STFU Discord, or you can get into the 100 Days Discord and find that channel. They'll direct you over here. They've got moderators. We've got moderators in ours to answer questions. So loads of ways. We've also got a Play STFU Facebook page up, and then we're working on the Twitter. I think Play STFU wasn't available, so it had to be a different Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's let's see here. Yeah, Play STFU game on Twitter.
Okay, and for those of you following me at YaBonks Official, I have retweeted a few of their tweets already, so you can find them through my Twitter as well. I'm going to put the links to all the things you just mentioned in the description of this video. I'll also probably pin a comment with all those links, so you guys check all this out, join their communities, get excited. This is like one of the real, God, I feel like one of the real exciting crossovers of AAA gaming and Web3 technology. I don't know if it's ever been done like this, at least with deliverables.
Right, something that's coming out this year. That's
exactly. So I'm amazed how fast this is happening. Like, I didn't think you guys were at this stage already. I didn't know your history until I started digging into this, that you guys are carrying the torch from Parallax with the Descent lineage. And this is just like, it's a great time to be alive, man. So
thank you,
Matt. Anything else that you want to tell the audience?
That's it. I think we've covered it. It's been War and Peace. This is 2 hours worth of deep dive into this game. I think they know more than they want to about this game now.
That's my specialty.
No, I love it. Thanks for taking the time. Frankly, that was a lot to go through. You did a lot of prep on this. There's a lot to read. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for taking so much time out of multiple days to prepare for this with me. So thank you, Matt, and thank you everybody for watching. Check out STFU Ships That Fight Underground, and I will catch you next time. Bye.